This is WFO Radio.
Hey, everybody, WFO Radio with a very special Formula One Miami Grand Prix broadcast and maybe the start of something new on WFO. That's right, NHRA talks Formula One. As I travel the country with the National Hot Rod Association, chasing around 330 mile per hour nitro cars and pro stock cars, one thing that I have noticed is in our pit area, a lot of people are passionate about and love Formula One. Now, I live in South Florida, and the Grand Prix is just blocks away from my house, like literally like 4.5 miles. I will be going to the race this weekend, so this is a perfect opportunity to talk Formula One Miami, talk Formula One with drag racers here in the United States, really the most extreme motorsport of all motorsports, and we love Formula One. So join us, subscribe, click the bell. This is not the last episode, and maybe you're a Formula One fan who will learn to like drag racing since we like Formula One. Let's bring on our guest. He is the crew chief of the Get Biofuel Pro Stocker that runs out there in the National Hot Rod Association Camping World Series. He is Michael Hiner, and we've been talking about doing this for a while. Michael, welcome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Joe. This is something we've talked about doing, and I look forward to having a quick conversation about it.
As simple as that, right? Like, what do we talk about? It's not always drag racing. We love drag racing, but Formula One is like this mystery world. Like, what's going on? And I know you are very, very, underground in it. You got some friends over there. You're passionate about it. I'm a fan. And so I'm excited to talk about this historic first inaugural Miami Grand Prix. They've done a lot of great stuff, but let's talk a little bit about your background first of all, right? Jim Yates, world champion crew chief, says, you might be the smartest guy in the pit area, except you can't be that smart because you're here. That was a quote.
Well, I appreciate Jim saying that. There's some smarter guys out there. You know, Jim's got a couple championships. Rob Downing's got a bunch of championships. And one thing we all have in common is we drag race, but really pay attention to Formula One and keep up with it and enjoy the technical side of the motorsport.
Well, exactly. And that's really a large fan base. And now with the Drive to Survive showing all the great like rivalries, and even if they're hyping it up a little bit, the technical side is still where I think a lot of drag racers go in that, like, how are they doing that? Right. Just like people say about our cars, how are they doing that? How do they accelerate so fast?
Yeah. Well, we actually in Pro Stock have Formula One technology on our cars. Anybody that's running the Penske inverter type shock, that all started with McLaren. I think they called it a J shock. And it's without going into too much of it, it's a clutch and ball weight screw that as the shock compresses, it spins up, it absorbs some of the energy. All the Formula One teams run that shock or a version of that shock on their car. So, and we run it on Pro Stock, or majority of us do.
That is great. The ones that win.
Well, I haven't won in a few years, so.
Hey, we called you guys as the defending race runner-up at Houston just a couple weeks ago, so it hasn't been that long. And the way you guys are running, you'll get back into it. So let's dive in with a couple of photos of the circuit. This circuit is insanity. It's so Miami in that they've gone over the top with the viewing areas. Of course, it's going to be a big party, and everybody is talking about the Marina, right? Like, is it stupid? Yeah. Is it fun? What is it? They built a fake Marina, and there's a reason. We couldn't have the race by the actual water as originally intended.
Yeah, so the original plan, obviously, being by the water, and Miami is known for the beach, so you can incorporate it. I don't know. At first I was like, oh, that's cool. They're going to put a fake marina in there. And, like we talked about, that's going to have that like Monaco-esque vibe where, people are on boats and women in bikinis and alcohol. And, it's just a big party like you'd be out on the water. Now I'm not so sure. I want to see how many people try to walk across it on TV or in social media.
Literally walking on water. Literally walking on water. That's what we do in Miami. Now it's pretty okay. It's also a little, it's silly, right? People are like, oh, why did they do that? Because they wanted to go over the top. And not to get too into the nuts and bolts behind the scenes, but originally they wanted to have this thing downtown. The downtown folks said, we don't want the traffic problems. And Stephen Ross, who owns the Miami Dolphins, who they own the stadium, and they just spent a lot of money, like $400 million to update the stadium, said, we can build a track at the stadium facility. And they have done a fantastic job. All over YouTube, you can see a lot of great aerials, and guys are flying drones over it. I have been on my way home from NHRA races, just checking out the racetrack and the different sectors and the different areas, the whole Marina area. It's really amazing to watch it in less than a year emerge as I'm telling you, it's going to be a premier facility because we don't have to deal with taking it down rapidly like you do in Monaco or these other street courses. They're going to have bars and DJs and sections. They've opened these campus passes, and it's also one of the most exclusive tickets in sports right now. The Miami Heat are in the playoffs and the Florida Panthers are in the playoffs. You cannot get a ticket for Formula One Miami. I don't know how I did, but I did.
Well, what did they sell? 80,000 sold out. I mean, there was people that were on the list to get on the email list to get tickets, and by the time they got their email, the seats were sold out. It's exciting for America to have 2 races now, and soon to be a third with Las Vegas. And looking at the track map of Miami, 19 corners. I'm really curious to see because Sergio Perez took the I don't remember which RB 16 or 18. Anyway, took one of them around on the temporary course where they had cones set up and stuff. And I'm really curious to see how turns 11, 12, 13, and 14 play out when you're at the end of, I guess, looking at the map there, it's the middle of sector 2. But I really want to see what happens in that section because you're going to have DRS all the way down, and then you go into a tight corner.
That's this area right here, like on the turnpike, this area with the grandstand on the left. And I know there's better photos out there. I just kind of whip these up, guys. If you're a Formula One fan, like I want inside access, I'll get those for you on Friday. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. But my seats are in the fountain grandstand, right? Which is like kind of on that fast straight, the DRS zone. So it's going to be kind of interesting. I'm also going to get like whiplash going like this all day. But I got a view of a screen.
So which turns that going to be, Joe?
Well, I think it's between 8 and 11.
Between 8 and
right?
11, okay.
Like, they come down, they start the race, they kind of snake around the stadium, they go by the Marina, and then they go on what I'll call the wavy straight. And maybe you're looking at the map right now, but it's kind of a long straight, but with some bends in it.
Yeah, I guess.
Fountain Grandstand's pretty much right in the middle of that. So we're going to see cars going fast, but you're right. There's a braking zone there that I think is going to be a source of a lot of potential passing opportunities.
Well, looking there, I would say going to turn 17 and going to turn 11 will be the two primary passing zones with the DRS. And, like a lot of other tracks, turns 9 and 10 are those really turns. They're kind of bends,
Yeah, those are going to be taken flat out. But then they go under the highways, which people are going to be watching on TV. You'll see those are public roads. That's the Florida Turnpike. I drive it whenever I got to go to Miami International Airport or south. And you can see a lot of the track from the highway. They're going to have police out there making sure people don't stop because it goes right through there. A whole bunch of overpasses, and that will take you onto the back stretch, which is a genuine straight. I'm looking for a photograph, Michael, a genuine straight. If they were going to build a drag strip at this place, that's where they would build it. And unfortunately, it's too close to like a neighborhood and homes. If you look at the aerial, there's a canal. That's the north side of the racetrack where that long straight is. That is going to be another just super fast area, which has me wondering. I'm seeing if I can find the shot where you can see the track down there. And of course I cannot right now, but is this going to be a Red Bull track? Emerson Fittipaldi was on the news last night saying he thinks it's going to be a Ferrari track, but I think his emotions might be tugging on him a little bit.
Yeah,
the Red Bulls are so fast at the end of the straight that I'm wondering if they're going to be able to just blow everybody's doors off.
Well, porpoising comes into effect where Red Bull doesn't have the porpoising Ferrari does. The difference is Ferraris can settle down through the corners, which the Mercedes are not. Although tomorrow during show and tell, we'll see what the new Mercedes updates are for this. I'm guessing, looking at it, that it's going to be a low downforce setup, not necessarily Monza-esque, but probably close. Guys are going to have skinny wings on, narrowed up. I would probably still lean towards Red Bull just because of the porpoising. I think honestly, there's an outside chance I wouldn't be surprised to see George Russell up there if Mercedes can solve just a little bit of their porpoising issue. He's the only guy to finish in the top 5 or top 6, whatever he's done at all the races so far. So, he's got something to prove right now in the Merc, and I think that'll be somebody to watch.
Let's talk about the Mercedes. They got hammered at the start of the season by just everybody, like, oh, the car's garbage, the car's garbage. But we've had a couple of conversations. I don't know that the car's garbage. I think they're trying to figure something out that might get them to where they want to go. It's a marked departure from the other cars with just the lack of air intake, right? Like,
that zero side pod setup they have is phenomenal. And you think about how much air now they can put on the floor.
Right.
It has to be an advantage as soon as they solve the porpoising. The difference is Adrian Newey saw this coming, right? He's been around long enough. He remembers back when they had ground effects before and they had porpoising. So it wasn't at all shocking to any of us that have watched it for years to see that the Red Bulls solved their porpoising really before anybody else without raising the ride height, right? That's where Mercedes is struggling because they have to raise the ride height to keep from destroying their drivers. And Russell's already come out and said that they can't maintain a year of the beating that they're taking. 57 laps, I believe, is what we're going to run there in Miami. And you go 3 straights and really 2 major straights. That's a lot of porpoising and beating on a driver. I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the race if you don't see guys making mistakes because they've been beat up so bad. If they run the cars low to get through the high speed corners, then they're going to suffer porpoising. McLaren's trying. I'm curious to see during show and tell as well to see if McLaren has come up with something with theirs.
Well, exactly. And people don't consider the physicality of the sport. You watch guys in cars and you assume you're in your, Honda driving to the grocery store, but it is a beating. And that's why they've got necks like this in those machines. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see who comes out. And we're just a day away now. I'll be out there tomorrow, a couple of free practice sessions, and we will see exactly who's got what. You'd hope the surface would be very smooth, considering it is brand new. They moved a lot of dirt and they made it. They wanted to be a premier facility. I understand that they did some things with, minor banking, like slight adjustments in the corners to make it like passability and raceability premium to put on a great show. And I know our community has been just overrun with the teams. For those that don't know, you're not from South Florida, you're coming down. The stadium complex is, on the county line away from the beach, but that's where you build a stadium, right? It's 10 minutes from everywhere. You can get to the airport, either airport, Fort Lauderdale or Miami in 15 minutes. It's very close. I saw people complaining, but all the fan activation stuff is near the beaches, right? Where everybody wants to go. Charles Leclerc threw out the first pitch at the Miami Marlins baseball game last night. Lewis Hamilton was playing golf with Tom Brady. Michael Jordan is in town. The celebrities are all coming down. This thing is going to be massive. I mentioned Emerson Fittipaldi. Let's talk Ferrari. I am so excited to maybe see a potential Ferrari victory in front of me. Like, that's the math is so against it, right? Like that you're like, if I'm a Derek Kramer fan and I chase you guys all around, to get you guys to see a win, is the odds are against it in any form of racing. That's what I'm hoping for. Emo says it can happen. What do you think?
Well, I think it definitely can happen, right? I mean, and you and I have talked, Fosse fans, longtime Ferrari fan. Michael Schumacher is what drew me in. Of course, Formula One's always better when Ferrari's competitive. And there's no reason to think that Ferrari can't win. The only concern I had was the porpoising. Again, a little bit of ride height adjustment. You take some of that out. Leclerc has been phenomenal. And we have no idea with Sainz because unfortunately things of his own making and things out of his control have taken him out a lot of these races early on.
Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo.
Well, I will say one thing for Ricciardo. You got to give him credit. He goes over, he apologizes to the mechanics, to the team. He goes into the hospitality. He owned what happened there. But, I also watched the race and I thought it was a bit of a racing incident, right? You got two guys going for the same corner. You're on intermediates in the rain, start of the race. Everybody's jockeying to try to get the position. Could Carlos have left him a little bit more room? Probably. Could Daniel have not tried to take the curb as hard as he did? Probably. It wasn't like, Schumacher taking out the side of the Alpine. But
so
I'm excited because they can win. They have the power, right? So everybody looks back at what they did the last couple of years, and we don't know whether that was an FIA, you're in trouble for what you did in 18 and 19, right? Got your hand slapped. So whatever power you had to take a back seat. But clearly Ferrari's picked up. I mean, I think Toto Wolff said that Ferrari was 14 brake horsepower behind, and now they're 14 brake horsepower ahead. Well, that's 28 in a very tight window of what they're allowed to do. And clearly Haas and Alfa Romeo are enjoying the success of the Ferrari engines being better. So, big track like this, lots of power. This could end up being a lot of Ferrari engines in the top 10.
That would be incredible. Obviously, I'm Tifosi Ferrari fan, going back to my first to my dad having me as an Italian American, right? It's a rule, had to do it. But Haas F1 is a team that I think we all as Americans, those are our guys, man. Gene Haas just lost his mom. They have done so much better this year, showing, and they planned for it last year to take advantage. I would love to see those guys have a good race, a solid race, get some points in front of the American crowd. Hopefully we realize that would be a big deal.
Yeah. Well, of course we're always pulling for Haas, but tied in with Ferrari makes you and I happy. Yeah. I would be elated if we could get Magnussen up in the top 5 again. If we can, replay with the start of the season, I think as American fans, we would be excited. Again, it very well, depending on how the track evolution happens, which everything I've heard and have read said that they expect a lot of track evolution. The asphalt's fantastic there. Pirelli brought C2, C3, and C4 as their tire choices. By the end of the weekend, this could be a really fast track, and Ferrari has the dominant engine right now.
That would be so amazing. So let's talk about, looking at the constructors. Ferrari is leading 124 to 113 over Red Bull. Charles has 1-2, and obviously Max is 1-2. Mercedes sitting there third, 77 back. McLaren, Alfa, Alpine, AlphaTauri, Haas, Aston Martin, Williams. Let's talk about AlphaTauri, because this is NHRA Talks F1, and we took a radical flyer maybe to get him on. It's looking like it might not work, but maybe in the future, right? We have a direct connection from the National Hot Rod Association into Formula One at Scuderia AlphaTauri. Tell us a little bit about Owen.
Yeah, so Owen's, well, I make fun of Owen because he's from Canada, but Owen's a Canadian engineer.
So he's a nice person then. So he's nice.
Yeah. He takes the beatings well, but he's an engineer. He worked for Gray's, worked for Tanner when he won the championship. Really smart cat. I mean, he understands things the rest of us wish we did, right? I mean, that's the way those guys operate. And after Tanner won the championship, he went over and worked for Honda in England. And when Red Bull Powertrains took over the Honda program, he was one of the engineers that was kept on, and he's with AlphaTauri on the weekends. And yeah, Owen's a great cat. I was hoping he could make it on here.
Yeah, well, exactly. But hey, listen, it's a long season, but we had to take advantage of this opportunity with Miami being the home city. If you're out there watching on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell, find the playlist for NHRA Talks F1, and maybe check out some of our other stuff too, because we would like some of those F1 fans to come see our stuff. Yes?
Oh, absolutely. it's motorsports. People seem to go through everything, right? If it's racing, they're into it. Competition, for a lot of us, it's always about the competition. We'll race rental cars, we'll race scooters, golf carts. It doesn't matter if there's competition, we're generally involved in it.
Exactly. So let's talk about, just like final thoughts and predictions, right? I am hoping beyond hope. I didn't apply for a media credential. I didn't try to go to any. I am doing this as a fan. This race as a fan. We work together, motor media professional, racing professional at the National Hot Rod Association. And that's a different environment, right? NASCAR has been kind of, you've been on the inside too. I've been on the inside for many years. I don't want to say there's no mystique. There's still mystique, but you know how the sausage is made. And I don't know how the sausage is made at Formula One. And I kind of want to keep it that way a little bit, right? Like, I don't want to meet that media professional who's a big jerk and sours me on it. Not at least for this first race. So I'm going into this thing. It's my second Formula One race ever. I was at the final race at Indianapolis. I got my gear loaded up. I'm going to go buy some air horns. It's going to be great. Give me your predictions for the race. Like, in the end, we're hoping for Ferrari, but what do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Okay, so I guess if I'm picking my top three, my podium, don't bet against Charles. So Leclerc, Verstappen. Honestly, I'm probably going to say Russell, because I feel like Mercedes is really close on solving their porpoising, and I think George can get up there. That would be my top three in order. My heart says I want Charles to win, just to have Ferrari on the top step of the podium. So yeah,
that's
sorry, Owen.
Hey, Owen, they can get up there and get points, and that's a good race for those guys. Just like we were talking about with Haas, right? Like, there's different things happening, and it's also South Florida, guys. Something to consider is weather. This is South Florida in the afternoon, and the races, I think, starts at 3:30. And the afternoon showers that occur, we could see a thunderstorm pop up, dump a lot of water on that racetrack, and then go away 20 minutes later. That's the kind of thing that can happen in South Florida. So predictions are going to be tough. But yeah, I think Charles Leclerc, I got to just will it to happen, guys. If you're a fan of Max or a fan of Lewis, we love the star power. Michael Jordan is in town. They're all hanging out. But I got to see a Ferrari victory. Yeah. And then I'm going to run down onto the track like it's Monza. And I'm going to
watching the Heat, which, by the way, speaking of all the Miami things, the Heat are doing well in playoffs. I saw George Russell sitting courtside.
Yes.
At one of the games. So yeah, it seems that all the drivers and teams are thoroughly enjoying themselves in South Florida.
Well, the city is, and everybody around the world, hopefully some people are watching this, right? I saw some guys in South Africa were annoyed, like, hey, why does America get 3? Why does America get 3? And I'll tell you why. Because we have 300 million people, and the poorest people got a little bit of money, and we are Formula One crazy right at this moment. So it's a strike while the iron is hot kind of thing. Circuit of the Americas, you tried to get tickets, right? Like, they sold out in 5 minutes.
Been a struggle. I'm trying to get tickets where you want them. You can get tickets through resale sites, but by the time I got my email from Coda to get tickets, all the tickets were sold. So it's been, America loves Formula One right now, whether it's Netflix, the drama, the new cars. I mean, think about it. We're talking about my top 3 were 3 different manufacturers.
Yes.
Now, we may not get that. We may get 2 Ferraris and a Red Bull, or 2 Red Bulls and a Ferrari, or some combination thereof. But realistically, everybody knows that Mercedes, when they fix their junk, they're going to go to the front. McLaren's got on the pole with a Mercedes engine. So I don't remember in years past where we can say that we're not quite sure how many manufacturers are going to be at the front. And guys are close, right? There's not the huge spread from first to worst.
Yes. And the battling in the back of the pack, like the new cars have made, everyone processional racing, right? It's just a snake of dry guys going around. There's a couple of passes in the line. Maybe there's a pass for the lead. They have addressed that issue
Yeah.
We have battling at the front, as much battling as, I think it takes to be interesting, to give the fans a cheer here and there, to feel like your guy has got a chance. They've solved so many problems. Plus, America owns Formula One now, guys. Liberty Media. And for so many years, they coveted this market, but it wasn't appealing to Americans because Americans weren't marketing to Americans. Now Americans are marketing to Americans, and a lot of these different changes and things, those are ideas. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they temporary? It is what it is right now. So let us have our 3 races for a couple of years, and then maybe we'll grow tired of it, and then we could spread it back around.
Well, I think, I think it's great that America's into it. I think that as a Ferrari fan, we should, as a whole of F1 community, thank Ross Brawn. He brought us Ferrari championships.
Yes.
Ross Brawn started the Mercedes program that is what has been dominant the last 7 years, and he's fixed the aero on these cars to allow these cars to run closer. Him and his team, obviously, he's got a great, no one individual is better than the program that they're running, and you're only as good as the people around you. So Ross has had a lot of great people, but you think about when I first got into Formula One to where we are now, it's all been Ross Brawn as far as directly involved with the team, or now heading up the technical side of Formula One to get these cars to where we're at now. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for this weekend.
Yeah, no, I think we all are. And lucky us, we have an off weekend, right? Like I know Pro Stock's been off for a little bit. When do we see you next? Epping, New Hampshire?
Epping, New Hampshire. Yeah.
Epping, New Hampshire. So we see in 2 races. We got Richmond next weekend, and then we got Bristol on Father's Day, but we'll see up there in Epping, New Hampshire. But it's lucky that this is an off weekend because the NHRA fans will be able to watch. And this is Miami. And as much as the people that live in the city tell me I'm not from the city, I live just outside the city, and it's a great place for this kind of event. I've always said it'll be a nonstop party like all over South Florida. And so far it has proven to be the case. Michael,
like, from looking at the track, like there's a party in every corner. Like if you go around there, it looks like there's something going on all the way around the racetrack. So I'm hoping to add that to my bucket list here.
Well, 100%. There's a tennis tournament that happens at the stadium as well, because it's a multi-purpose stadium, and the tennis tournament is like countless bars and music and DJs and all of that. And a friend of mine was just there a few weeks ago and said that's exactly what it's going to be. And so they sold out in like 10 minutes, right? They've opened up these campus passes. It's a campus pass. And so for Friday, the campus pass is $300. You can go in NHRA, we would call it general admission.
Oh,
right?
The walk around ticket?
The walk around ticket, which honestly, for me, if I had known there was going to be campus passes to just walk around, that's what I would have waited to do. But I didn't, because I wanted to get in and wanted to get a seat. Next year, I'll know a little bit better. It's the first. So I saw a map of the campus passes. I've got to park a mile away down the street and, I guess walk. Are they going to have trams? I don't know. It's a little sketchy, all that situation. I'll live it. You get a review on WFO Ignition, guys. Your other WFO radio home for Formula One Miami, because we are locals and we're giving you the real deal. If something stinks, you're going to get it. We're going to tell you if it's garbage or not. But I got panicky, Michael, because I thought, what if, like in Canada, right? You have to sit in your seat.
Yeah.
It's not walk all around the circuit. And what if this campus pass, it's like, sorry, you have to have the campus pass to come through here. Well, I bought a ticket. Yeah, well, no, that's $300 extra to walk everywhere. Right. So yesterday I called up and I was like, yo. And they said, no, regular tickets get you everywhere the campus pass does, which includes the Marina, includes in the stadium. I thought that the stadium was going to be off limits to, regular folk.
Right.
Nope.
Cool.
You'll be able to go up into the stadium. So like the shots, the photo, the social influencers, which I'm going to pretend to be this weekend, we're all going to have the ability to walk the entire circuit and get shots and do all kinds of stuff, and plus load up on gear, right? I didn't wear my gear because I thought Owen might come on and I want to offend him as AlphaTauri guy. but I got my Haas F1 stuff. I got my Ferrari stuff. I'm super excited about all of that. And this is just going to be great. It's going to be one of the greatest events in the history of South Florida. Any final thoughts?
I'm excited to see what photos you come up with and what your thoughts of how the layout of the course is, especially if you're going to get to walk it. Like I would like just to go and use a campus pass to walk around. You mentioned Canada, like that's one of the things, like the Canadian course would be really cool. Now, granted, I realize that there's some areas that it would be more difficult to walk in, but it would be cool to walk around that track because it's an iconic track. And there's some great areas in between that it looked like would be fun to watch from. So
just stand at the wall of champions and just watch.
I'm just curious to see what your take on the whole thing is. And if the campus pass is something that you like, that's something I would enjoy doing as well.
Well, I can tell you next year, like already, and I'm not trying to lose money for the Formula One Grand Prix Miami in 2023. And I don't know if I'll be able to go with our NHRA drag racing schedule just yet, but the idea of being able to just roam free, walk around, I don't necessarily need a seat. There's going to be tents and bars and nightclubs, and I'm going to see if I can work my way onto one of these boats. It's really the goal for the weekend. If I can work my way onto these boats, I guess I'll have to find some pretty girls in bikinis, and I could be their security.
It would be worth walking around. Well, yeah, obviously the sights of Miami are enjoyable. I think it'd be fun to walk around if it rains, because the areas you want to be in when it's dry are not going to be the same areas you're going to want to be in when it's wet. And how good's the drainage? I know they've got a little bit of camber in the corners to try to get the water if it rains. I mean, they definitely put some forethought into it, but it's going to change where you want to watch the race from, I think. This
whole event is a first of its kind, a purpose-built circuit. It's kind of like what they've got going on in Sochi at the Olympic area, but I think we're doing it better because it's 100% focused on entertainment and, parting people from their money. I guess like there's going to be so much to do there. Yeah. And I actually think it's going to be better than if it was a genuine street course. The only thing because of the way Miami is laid out, Miami doesn't really have a lot of interesting corners and streets that, the Grand Prix of Miami that you used to see in the Open of Miami Vice, that went away for a reason. It went away for a reason. This is something that can stay for a long time, and I think people will continue to support it. But we'll see this weekend. It gets started real soon. Michael, great job. NHRA Talks F1.
You told me you want Charles to win. What's your top three, though?
Okay. Let me say
if
that.
You put me on the spot. I got it.
Yeah, I get it. I think that Max is going to be right in the mix, and I don't think they're going to have any more reliability issues. Let me look also. And I'm going to go with Ferrari, Max, Ferrari. Carlos Sainz is going to, if Charles is going to be good, I think Carlos is going to be good too, and he's going to get unsnake bitten for this weekend. He's got to get that monkey off his back. He's got to be able to make it to the end of a race just to see. And he's lost so much mileage compared to Charles. So the differences in their setups, while minor, Charles has been able to go full race distances and work on it for the next race. And Carlos is just, unfortunately, he's just behind. Been stuck on the beach. And this weekend, he'll be like literally on the beach. I will say, and you remind me of this, on our way into Houston, which is when the last race was, when Sainz ended up in the sand, thanks to Ricardo, who apologized. The broadcast team, like the radio broadcast of Formula One, which I was listening to on Sirius XM, did not indicate any of that. And they made it seem like it was Carlos's issue and, another tough. And I didn't even know until many hours later that he had gotten shoved off. So that's it was annoying to me that they did such a poor job.
I wasn't listening to it on the way into the track, but that's unfair. And I find a lot of these, and I guess I know you're trying to finish up, but I find a lot of these pundits seem to clearly have favorites, and it's frustrating from a fan standpoint to lay something at some guy's foot when it's not even, he wasn't even involved, and other guys can do whatever they want, and there's no consequence. There's never any call out for it.
Are you suggesting that Sky Sports might actually be biased towards a certain team or drivers or two?
Yeah. I'm not even going to hide it. Yes, I think if they're British, they get a lot of pass that other drivers don't.
Yeah.
And, which is funny because Carlos did so well at McLaren, and McLaren's such a popular British team that you would think that somewhere along the way he would have got some favor from these pundits. But no, they seem to want to lay a lot of it at his feet.
What are you going to do? Hey, listen, I appreciate the bias. I understand. There's, we go listen to the Italian call in Italian. I'm sure they're biased towards Ferrari. Michael, thank you very much. Appreciate
me, Joe.
Historic first, right? We'll get Owen somewhere down the road. We got a couple more shots here in the, in this hemisphere, in the East, the North America.
We can drag him out of bed too if we have to. He'll be fine.
That's great. But we got someone that is NHRA World Champion Pro Stock with Tanner Gray, now working with Scuderia Alfa.
World Champion with Honda and Red Bull last year.
And you say that, he understands stuff that we can't.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, there's always a bigger fish,
yes,
as Obi-Wan once said. All right, Michael, thank you.
Thanks, brother.
There he goes, Michael Hiner, with us here on the first ever episode of WFO Radio's NHRA Talks F1. If you're a Formula One fan, NHRA Drag Racing, 0 to 330 miles per hour in less than 4 seconds. The extreme factor is right there. And we would love you to check out our sport as well, because there's a lot of cross-pollination, a lot of cross-respect, and why would you not want to see something as cool as a nitro-burning Top Fuel dragster or funny car? Or even the Pro Stockers are my personal favorite. Naturally aspirated. What do they have in common with Formula One cars? Making, 3 horsepower per cubic inch. That kind of, thermal efficiency. Right in the neighborhood, except ours are naturally aspirated and you guys got turbochargers. Click subscribe. Hammer that bell. If you're new to Miami and you want to know, where to go, where to hang out, obviously the beaches, Fort Lauderdale Beach. I am over South Beach. Wynwood area. It's kind of nice. You go to Wynwood. I was at the Hard Rock Guitar Hotel last night. No tie-ins, no nothing. They had nothing to tie them together. You'd think they would have had a car display set up or something. Great to see all the athletes in our community. Charles Leclerc throwing out the first pitch at the Miami Marlins game. George Russell at the Miami Heat playoff game versus the Sixers. Lewis Hamilton hanging out with Tom Brady playing charity golf. Our local media, some of them get it. They're like, look at this. Some of them don't get it. They're like, huh? It's just the way it is. And our sports talk radio guys. Oh my gosh. Don't say Verstappen, guys. Don't try it. Just say Mad Max. That'll work out. Thanks to Michael Hiner for doing a great job. Appreciate you, Michael. And here we go. Formula One, Miami Grand Prix, NHRA Talks Formula One. Thanks, guys. Check the rest of the archive. WFO.